first time, did it again, didn't work. Finally, the last time, fourth time, it worked. So we have learned one really important thing about Thornwood. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. You know, leave it alone. When you have an old historical building, the best thing you can do is to keep it upright on its foundation and leave it alone. So that's kind of our big lesson here, was just where you can cost yourself a lot of money in a hurry. So now it's going to cost us several $1,000s to get them up, because they can only do it with scaffolding, so now we've got to get that done. So we are thankful to have the bed and breakfast here. Our neighbors, a couple, well, one, doesn't care for anything here, and he's very unhappy with me because I choose to share Thornwood. But that's okay. Thornwood, while we say we own Thornwood, you can never own a house like this, because it's going to be around long after my husband and I are gone, and our children and our children's children. Thornwood will be standing. It's built to last, and it's a historical part of this community. And we do want to share it. So the bed and breakfast does help us. We hope a lot of people will come, because we've got to fix the ceiling where it fell in, so, or peeled and everything. So that helps a little bit financially. It also allows us depreciation and a couple of things that help. But we're trying to make it all that we can. And someday, there's no doubt in my mind that what this house will belong to the community, because it's an important part of the history. Mr. Thorne was the first commissioner of the Port of Tacoma. He's considered by many to be the father of the Port of Tacoma. He's responsible for Fort Lewis, the reasons the presidents and people came here. He arranged for the land sale and for all of that to happen here. He was very much involved in opening Mount Rainier up for tourism. He was involved in the building of Paradise. He had one of the only banks, maybe the only bank, to survive that, I think it was 1895 or 1893. There was more than one stock market crash, or big crash, and so he was able to save the bank and save a lot of businesses in Tacoma. And a lot of people today owe their success, and a lot of families owe their success to that benevolent man. He did everything anonymously, and he was very generous. And they had a very, good family, and he did want to share. He had a private rail car that came here. It came up here, he'd take his carriage down there and get on to go to Tacoma to work. This was their country house. I have not been able to find out what happened to their home in Tacoma. Simon know where that is. I'm going to ask him one of these days and see if he knows where they lived in Tacoma. He doesn't know. But I understand that it was not anything like this. This was their pride and joy because of the gardens and the lake. He had a brick boathouse out here that has been torn down. By some misfortune, Thornwood had 2 lots here, so the view was fabulous. The lot, there's a new house across the street, and that lot got out of the hands of Mrs. McMillan. And so then recently there's been a house built there. But we still have the lake, and we're trying to obtain a couple of more pieces of property so that someday we might have the entrance to Thornwood be as it was originally. We're trying to collect all the history we can. The grandson mailed us a catalog and many original photos of Thornwood and the family. So we have some things that are really hard to come by. We've been able to locate a gentleman. His father was William the driver, the chauffeur, and his mother was Mrs. Thorne's personal maid. And he's going to share some things he's giving us. He has a riding jacket that belonged to Mr. Thorne. We're trying to collect things while we still can. There's very few things that we can actually authenticate that came from Thornwood. So we're trying to collect things, and we have a spread, just a comforter, a linen with a big T embroidered on it. We've located a bed those dates I haven't retained as yet, but I'm sure I will. But we're trying to get a few things back so that we have a wonderful history. We're collecting a history of the people who have lived here, of the neighbors, and how all this happened, so that when the house someday passes from my husband and I, we'll have something to go with it, to stay with the house that will, you know, so we're trying to collect all that we can historically and be accurate. We do know, if anyone has any pull down at the Art Museum, they have a cabinet, like a China Hutch curio cabinet, that stood right here, so they have it down there. I'd love to get it. It was donated to them, but I'm sure we'll never get it back. All the statuary, most all the statuary at Lakewood Gardens came from Thornwood. They had this guy had a big sale and sold everything. He even sold these doors off. And two of them are across the street. These are reproductions. They were made to match. They had a really fine craftsman to do these two doors, which they don't look like it, but they're, you know, that's a $10,000 item for these two sets of doors. But our statuary from the garden is at Lakewood. There's also a fireplace that is there that they have in their main room. The marble there came from Thornwood, which we're glad for. We've been adding statuary, and did everybody notice the fountain? Well, that's compliments of the film company. They designed that. It will be working right away. There's one more tube they've got to put in. They had it all, they designed it, built it, filmed, tore it down, moved it to Sandpoint, put it back up again, filmed it, tore it down, and brought it back, and put it up again. So they've still got a little bit more work to do, and then it'll be operational, but we think it's a nice addition. So we selected some other fountains and statuary, and we're doing some extensive landscaping this year. And my husband's kind of, where one of the old greenhouses was, where they kept herbs and things, he's just kind of redone that temporarily, so because we've got many thousands of plants and things coming in, so we're going to try to make this just a, even on our 4.5 acres, just make it a garden haven for everything. Why don't I turn the time over to you? Does anyone have any questions you'd like to ask? Yes,
what about the furniture? Are they reproductions, or is there any original furniture?
There's nothing original to the house, except we're still trying to determine if the sculpture in there was with the house, and that I don't know. But Richard thought it was original to the house, but I don't know. We don't have any original furniture. These are not reproductions. They belong to the house. We do have some reproductions. Our reproductions are like the chairs, the leather sofas, some of those things, because where people have to sit, you know, it's nice. But everything in this room, let's see, I don't even think this piano, I've had a long time. It was made in Austria in 1895. These pieces came from back east and go with this table. I just picked up these chairs because I didn't have the chairs for this table, so I still have my auction sticker on it. So we'll take that off so you will know. These two pieces came from a castle in Lawler, Germany, and they're very old. This is ebony, burl, oak. This piece is beautiful. It has a beautiful minstrel scene. This little buffet over here came from Scotland. These tables and chairs, I guess everything in here. Oh, these two little chairs over by the fireplace are called windsong chairs. They're carved, and it's the wind blowing, and they're about 300 years old. The drawing is an original sketch by Kirtland Cutter on the mantle. The dolls are for, this is a reproduction. I mean, that's just a new thing. I just had it for some dolls that I just like them. And the little doll up there, the I Love Lucy doll, of course, that's not old. Well, kind of old. Yeah, I started saying, we're going to watch that. But that was bought for me by one of our children. I love everything old. I was born old. I love old. I just draw me any place with something historical, and I'm a happy camper. So, but our son is running the theater now, except I still go down and produce the show. So I work, when I get done here, most evenings I'm off down at the theater. So, anyway, so finally they said, okay, Mom, you don't need to work so hard. Yes, sir.
How many apartments were in here?
13.
13. So it wasn't just this floor, it was some of the other
Oh,
floors?
yes, and I'm going to show you as much as I can of that. Anyway, I had a couple of weeks off. I went out and bought Thornwood. So my daughter bought that, and there's a Lucy, and it says dangerous, and it's called job switching. So no one feels sorry for me anymore, and they don't try to give me any time off. They want me to keep my nose to the grindstone, because now they're really wondering what I would get into if I had a couple of weeks off after we bought Thornwood. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Did you purchase Thornwood with the idea of restoring it? Or leaving it in breakfast or whatever?
The truth is, we needed tax write-offs. We needed some depreciation. No, we wanted Thornwood because we fell in love with it. We just fell in love with it. Especially, my husband's a little slower. When I found Thornwood, it was on the market. And I came to see it. And the first time I saw Thornwood was on a winter day, and there was just a few snowflakes falling, and I was sitting on a little sofa by myself. And I have to tell you, Thornwood has magic. There's some wonderful times here. And so I looked it all over, and then my husband is the chief financial officer for Perkins Cooley in Seattle. And so he's a numbers man. So after I saw it, I did some fancy paperwork, and then I told Wayne, I said, I found our dream house, what we've been looking for. So I brought him here, and we come in. The gate wasn't there. We put the gate in. And we're driving by. The houses were okay, but he didn't quite see what he thought I had in mind. So we pull in the drive, and he saw the Smith's house, and he thought, well, that's okay, but it's a little small. He's looking over at their house, and I said, no, go right around here. And then I said, ta-da, what do you think? And he just looked at me straight. And he said, oh, Deanna, you've got to be kidding. What would we do with it? And I said, okay, here it is. And I had my spreadsheets ready. So in the driveway, in the circle driveway of Thornwood, I presented my proposal to my husband. And it took a little while, and once I finally had him convinced, Richard Morrow pulled the house off the market. And I told my husband, I said, I tell you what we've got to do. We've got to liquidate, and we've got to get ready, because I said, we're buying that house. I said, I don't know how. I said, if someone else buys it, they're going to lose it. I said, I just know that house is coming to us. I said, there's so much to do there. And so a year or so later, Richard called me up out of the blue, and he said, do you still want to buy Thornwood? And I said, yes. And that's how we came to buy Thornwood. And it was a very quick order. In fact, I understand he had some offers, and I was the only person he would sell Thornwood to because I love it so much. And he felt like I would take care of it and carry on their dream. They had small children, and it was really difficult. So the bed and breakfast part, they would rent rooms only occasionally. And so we came in, and we started doing things. Well, I like the bed and breakfast because I love to have company. So we started doing that,